Welcome to my channel. My name is Rhea and this is your weekly astrology forecast for the week of June 6th to June 12th, 2022. So let's get started. Now, coming into this week, we had two important events, right? Mercury went direct on Friday and Saturn went retrograde on about Saturday into Sunday, right? So two important events, and I want to talk about these before we get into the energies of this week, just very briefly. And this week we have three important things that we will discuss. We have the first quarter square of the moon. Mercury will trine Pluto again, and we have the Venus-Uranus conjunction over the weekend. So let's talk about Mercury going direct. And Mercury has been retrograde since May 10th. You can see Mercury right now is direct, right? It's in black font. It's direct. It was retrograde since May 10th in the signs of Gemini and Taurus. And Mercury retrogrades are not the best time to start something absolutely new, communication related, marketing related, social media related, right? And communication does tend to slow down during this time. So now that Mercury is direct, that slowness that we might have been feeling will ease off in a certain way, right? And that's because although right now we have Pluto retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Mercury being retrograde impacts us more in a certain way, and that's because Mercury is a personal planet, right? When personal planets such as Mercury, such as Venus, such as Mars, when they retrograde, we feel it more. So now that Mercury is direct, that feeling of feeling slightly stuck, feeling of feeling slightly slowed down, things not moving will ease off. And that's extremely important right now because we have so much Aries, right? Mars is in Aries, Jupiter is in Aries, and the funny thing is that the day Jupiter entered Aries, right, on May 10th, Mercury went retrograde. And this is important because Jupiter in Aries really magnifies Aries, and Aries is all about taking action, moving forward, making things happen, right? So we had an abundance of that energy of taking action, doing things, starting things, right? But Mercury was like, no, think this through, think it through. So on one hand, we had this, I want to do this, I want to start this, I have so much energy and drive to go for this thing right now, right? But then Mercury was holding us back, saying, give it one more thought, review it a little bit. So now that Mercury is direct, right, that energy of Mars and Jupiter in Aries, Mars rules Aries and Jupiter expands the sign wherever it is, right? It expands that sign. So it's expanding Aries, and these two planets in Aries together is like a major boost to really go after what you want. And Aries is an energy that does not feel scared, right? It's about courage. So with Mars and Jupiter there, we have that energy to go after something that might have scared us in the past. So that's there. And now Mercury is direct. This is the first week that Mercury will be direct since Jupiter entered the sign of Aries. So we'll really be able to utilize that Aries energy of really making what you want happen, of starting something that you've probably been too scared to start. And Aries is also the beginning of the zodiac. It's the first sign. So Aries is a new beginning, you can say. It's the beginning of that cycle. And Jupiter enters Aries after 12 years. It enters any sign after 12 years. It has a 12-year cycle almost. So after 12 years, we are starting a new 12-year cycle, closing out the old one. And what this can do is it can help us step into that new cycle, step into that new energy. And Mercury being direct is helping us now, right? It's helping us. It's not holding us back anymore. It's not saying, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure this is what you want to step into? Are you sure this is what you want to start? We've kind of done the review, although Mercury will still cover those degrees again. This is the third and final covering of those degrees. And what I mean by that is Mercury retrograded between 4 degrees of Gemini and 26 degrees of Taurus. So this is what kind of happens, right? It Mercury moves forward to 4 degrees and then it starts to move backwards. So then it moves back and now it's at that 26 degree spot still. And now what's going to happen is it's going to start moving forward, covering the degrees between 26 degrees of Taurus to 4 degrees of Gemini once again for the third time. And the third time is the most helpful time. It's the time where we can actually say, okay, you know what, first time this idea came into my head or something started. The second time I reviewed it. The third time I know what to do. I have that clarity and the process completes itself. So Mercury still has some time before it moves out of its retrograde zone, but it's moving forward now, right? So we've probably reviewed, we've probably thought things through, and now we're ready to move forward and make things happen and use this Mars, Jupiter in Aries, right? So that's what I wanted to touch upon with Mercury going direct, that slowness, that being held back, that review, that thinking things through again and again is kind of done with. And we can use this Arian energy now. Now, the second thing is that Saturn here went retrograde on Saturday, you can say. Some places might be June 5th, but say June 4th, right? And Saturn will be retrograde for a good few months till October. And when Saturn goes retrograde, a certain pressure eases off, right? Saturn is the planet of karma. It's the lord of karma, so to speak. It's the planet of decisions and hard work. And the work with Saturn is such that it says you have to work for the sake of working, right? And usually it does not give rewards immediately. It's not like you put in the work and the reward comes. No, it will make you work for a while before giving you the rewards. But with Saturn, the rewards are big, right? Bigger than Jupiter, bigger than any other planet, I would say, because Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, right? The highest point in the chart. So it asks for hard work, but it also rewards really well. And now, since it is retrograde means review. Retrograde means fruits of our karma, fruits of our labor coming back. So now that it's retrograde, whatever work we've done in Saturn's direct motion since last October 2021, up until now, June 4th, 2022, we'll reap the rewards for that work. We'll receive the fruits of our labor. And retrogrades are also a period of review, right? And Saturn is going to retrograde between 18 and 25 degrees of Aquarius. And Saturn was at 18 degrees back in Feb, between Feb 15th and Feb 20th. So whatever's happened associated with Saturn, associated with decisions, giving structure to things, hard work, and more importantly, where Saturn is transiting in your chart, right? Saturn is in Aquarius right now. So wherever 18 to 25 degrees of Aquarius is in your chart, that area will come up for review, right? And that's the thing that we will think about and kind of rework as well. And then when Saturn goes direct in October, we will work on it for the third and final time. So think of between 15th to 20th Feb and now June 4th, 5th. That's what's coming up for review, and whichever area Saturn is transiting in your chart, themes of that house. For example, if Saturn is transiting your 4th house right now, themes associated with family, themes associated with how you nourish yourself, how you take care of yourself will come up for review, right? If Saturn is transiting, say, your 7th house, right, themes of marriage, themes of business partnerships, themes of business itself can come up for review. If it's in your say 2nd house, right, material possessions, financial matters may be highlighted during Saturn's retrograde period. So that's how Saturn retrograde is going to impact us. Now, coming to the events of this week, the first important thing happens on Tuesday, June 7th. The chart is open to June 7th, and we have the first quarter square of the moon. Now, this is the first 90-degree angle between the sun and the moon after the new moon. We had a new moon on 30th May last week, last Monday, right? A new moon in Gemini. And so this week, we begin the first quarter square. And you can see this, the sun and the moon are making a 90-degree angle, right? Square. And the first quarter square of the moon begins a period of about a week, 7 to 8 days, up until the full moon. And we have a full moon on June 14th, right, next week. So this period starting from Tuesday up until the full moon on June 14th is going to be about making small adjustments, right? Making small changes to incorporate that new moon energy that started on May 30th. And that new moon was in the sign of Gemini. There is a new moon video on my channel if you want to know more details. So whatever came in to your life back then, whatever energy started to seed back then in your lives, this is the week we will try to incorporate that energy and make it part of our life, right? For example, if Gemini, 9 degrees of Gemini, that's where the new moon was, right? If 9 degrees of Gemini falls in your 6th house in your personal chart, so that new energy was to do with 6th house matters, right? Health, your day-to-day routine, how you keep your schedule, things like that. So this week you'll be saying, okay, you know what? Yes, I felt the need to change something with that new moon in my 6th house of routine and day-to-day, etc. But now, how do I make that happen? How do I change things to make this adjustment? So something like that could happen. So this is that week where we make certain changes, where we make certain adjustments, and what's important this week is that we must be open to those changes, right? We must be open to saying, okay, you know what? Yeah, I need to change something, I need to adjust something, and I'm willing to do it. Resisting the change, resisting that energy is not the best thing. So that's the first important event this week. And then on Friday, right? It's Friday. Let's see. Yeah, Mercury here in its direct motion is going to trine Pluto. Now this is the third trine between Pluto and Mercury, right? Because Mercury has covered this 28-degree spot 3 times now. So it did it when it was direct, it trined Pluto. Then it trined it again during its retrograde, and now is the third and final time. And Mercury trine Pluto. Let's break this energy down. Pluto here is the planet of transformation, of changes, of endings, of beginnings also, you can say, of healing, of release, catharsis, of information being revealed, of hidden things coming to the surface. That's Pluto, right? And Mercury here is our thinking, it's our communication, it's our routine, it's our day-to-day, it's what time we wake up, what we eat, what our exercise routine is like. That's all Mercury stuff, right? And in a trine is a positive aspect, it's a harmonious aspect, it does not feel stressful, things happen easily with a trine. So what this Mercury retrograde has also done in a way has asked us to review and transform and change things associated with Mercury, right? Things associated with our diet or health routine or exercise or our job or how we keep our schedule or something in our mind, our thinking, things like that. And that process has been on since, say, May 10th, right? Because we've been going back and forth reviewing these things, and this is the third and final trine, meaning that if you have been trying to change your routine, trying to change your habits, trying to change your work schedule, trying to change maybe something to do with your health or your job or your diet, right? This is the time where the clarity will come with the third and final trine to Pluto. And with me, this is especially true because in the past 2 weeks or so, I have really changed my exercise routine, right? Exercise routine is associated with Virgo, the 6th house, and Mercury rules that as well. And I have changed that after a long time. I would say that I'm doing this way of exercise after a good 7-8 years. The last time I did this particular routine was back in 2014, and that's when I was in LA. So that's when I used to do this, and now finally after 7-8 years of doing different things, I finally come back to what I used to do when I was in Los Angeles 2014. And it's strange because the eclipse also in the sign of Scorpio, I'm digressing, I know, the eclipse in the sign of Scorpio that happened on May 15th or 16th did bring up things from 2012 and 2014, right? Because the last time we had eclipses on that axis was between 2012 and 2014. So it's really strange how it's brought up that exercise routine for me. It's really small, I know, but it's the small things, right? It's the small things that build our life. And now I'm really enjoying this type of exercise. So I'm really into fitness and it's an important part of my life. So it's a big deal to me. I've always been active. I used to run competitively in school and then I stopped running because of injuries, and then I started lifting weights, and then I started doing bar, and then I started doing HIIT, a bunch. I've tried everything. So now I've come back to what I used to do back in 2014. It's really strange. Anyway, coming back to this, so it could be something like that, right? Something in your life, small thing in your life that you change. Could be your diet, could be your exercise, could be how you think. Mercury is the small things. Now moving on to the last thing for this week, we have the Venus-Uranus conjunction. Now Venus is here, conjunct Uranus. Right, this is Saturday, 11th June, and Venus is in Taurus right now. It has been since 28th May, I believe. Yes, 28th May, last Saturday. And Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So usually when Venus is in Taurus, there's a certain element of security, there's a certain element of stability to our relationships, to our finances. We feel more secure, right? Because Venus works very well in Taurus. But this time around, Venus here in Taurus will conjunct Uranus, will conjunct the North Node, and will also activate the eclipse spots. Because we had the eclipses in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio back in May, right? April 30th, May 15th. So that's what Venus is going to do. And Venus meeting up with Uranus, the planet of sudden change, the planet of breaking free, you can say, the planet of a lot of energy, right? Energy that comes in bursts. One minute there's a lot of energy, next minute there's nothing. That's Uranus. And Uranus is also the planet of our uniqueness. It's the planet of our authentic self. It rules the sign of Aquarius, right? Aquarius is to do with being unique and being authentic. So Uranus is about that. It's about being your authentic self. It's about being your unique self, living in your uniqueness, so to speak, so that you can be your authentic self, so that you can be in true alignment with yourself, right? Uranus can get things into your life or remove things out of your life quite suddenly and unexpectedly. And it's also the planet of awakening, right? It can just awaken us suddenly, Uranus, sudden. And what is happening now is that Venus, the planet of our relationships, the planet of our self-worth, the planet of our appearances, the planet of our skills, of our finances, of beauty, of our security and stability, right? That's Venus. It is meeting up with Uranus. So what this can do is it can bring a sudden change to anything Venus related. Maybe we decide to suddenly change something in our appearance. Could be as simple as a haircut. Or maybe it brings a sudden change to an aspect of our relationship. Or it brings a sudden change to our skills. Maybe suddenly one of us realizes, okay, this is the skill that'll take me to the next level. I need to learn it. So that's what Uranus does. It brings this sudden change so that you can align more with your true authentic self, so that you can awaken a little bit more. And that's what Venus is doing, meeting up with Uranus. It's bringing a sudden change to these things. It could be a sudden change to maybe a project that you're working on, right? Maybe you've been doing it a certain way, and maybe Uranus meets up with Venus and it's like, okay, you know what? This is a better way to do it. This is easier for you. This is more in alignment with you. It'll come more authentically to you. So something like that. So things like that might happen with this conjunction. And that's the week in a nutshell, right? So To sum it up, I would say that since Mercury has gone direct, that slowness will kind of ease off. Saturn going retrograde will ease off a certain degree of pressure when it comes to really deciding, moving forward, the active process of working. Right now, it's time for the rewards, the fruits of our labor. And now we can use this Mars Jupiter, right? Mars in Aries, Jupiter in Aries to really take action, start things, make things happen. And still, Taurus is extremely highlighted. Taurus is very highlighted right now. Four energies in Taurus. Taurus is to do with our finances, it's to do with our self-worth, it's to do with our stability, our security, our raw materials, food resources, agriculture. It's to do with the economy, it's to do with currency. Those themes are very highlighted. And since the North Node entered the sign of Taurus, these themes have been highlighted, but more so in the past month or so, because we had the eclipses here, right? And now we have two extra energies, Mercury and Venus, also here. So that's why there's more emphasis on Taurus. Soon, Mercury will move on, and so will Venus, and then we'll be left with only Uranus in the North Node. And the North Node will not leave Taurus till next year. So these themes of Taurus, right, are being magnified. That'll continue till next year. But right now they're more magnified because of the fact we had eclipses and because of the fact Venus and Mercury are there as well. And next week we have two important things happening. I mean, among other things, but two things that I'd like to mention in this video. Mercury here is going to enter the sign of Gemini, and we have a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius on June 14th, I believe Tuesday. So we are building up to that full moon in the sign of Sag at 23 degrees. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.